tumours form in a certain way in various tissues. Right, so when we look at body tissues, we can have underlying capillaries, so veins and such forth, that are going and carrying blood. We'll have some connective tissue that then leads into body tissue or various other types of tissues. Right, the point is that we don't just have to have one type of tissue that our cancer is going to go and develop in. So when thinking about cancer developing, the first thing is that cancer is when we get some abnormal cells that divide in an uncontrolled way. So we might just start off with a single abnormal cell that will start to divide in an uncontrolled way, and eventually that could go and spread into another tissue. So next thing that kind of we need to think about is that that group of cells goes and divides, and you end up with a small cluster of abnormal cells. If it's a benign tumour, it might stop there, right, before it goes and spreads any further. However, so usually when we have just the right number of each type of cell, they start producing signals and such forth that cause them to go and divide even more, right? So this results in a large lump of cells forming, right? So this is when your tumour is starting to develop. We refer to that as a primary tumour, right? Primary meaning is really the start of when it's going to start causing issues. So to start with, cancer cells usually stay within one type of tissue, right, but can go and start spreading into capillaries, into bile ducts, into other sorts of tissues as it goes and develops and gets larger, right? So all the time your tumour is developing and it's growing and it's getting progressively larger. So the cancer cells grow and divide to create cells which will eventually form our tumour. So we form a big mass of cells there. It can be millions of cells big, and that is what's going to go and form the tumour. So all body tissues have a layer, so a membrane that's kind of coats it. So if you imagine here, there'd be almost a membrane, and eventually that tumour will go. So you can see there where it's broken into the capillaries and it's broken out through the top of this tissue. So once that starts to happen, we say that the cancer has become invasive because it's moved from just the one type of tissue and it's started to invade other types of tissue. It's not quite as easy as thinking it's starting to invade the rest of the body, but that might be another way to think about it. So as the tumour starts to get bigger and bigger, the centre of it moves progressively further away from the blood vessels, so it struggles to go and get nutrients and oxygen and such forth, right? So at this point, so once the cancer is big enough, it can physically go and stimulate the blood vessels, so the capillaries, to go and redirect themselves. So the capillary will go and redirect and grow down into the tumour itself. So now the tumour is directly being fed with a supply of blood that is going to go and transport nutrients and oxygen to it. So once that's happened, individual cells of the cancer can go and break off and pass down into the bloodstream, right, in the lymphatic system. Once they do this, So once they're there, finally, this is when your tumour has become malignant and it's metastasised, because it can spread throughout the body. That tumour cell will go and get carried off in the bloodstream, where further down the line it will stick to another part of the tissue, or another body tissue, or another part of the body, where it will go and form another tumour. Right, one key thing, or one interesting fact, should I say, about tumour cells is that they can be considered to be very sticky, right? And they're sticky in the way that they will go and stick on to other cells in other parts of the body and help and go on to develop into further tumours.